Imagine this scenario. It's a random Tuesday.
Right.
You go out to your husband's car. Maybe you're just, I don't know, looking for an ice scraper or a missing pair of sunglasses.
Yeah, totally normal stuff.
Exactly. And you open a center console or a compartment in the trunk, expecting to find old receipts or a tire gauge.
Sure.
But instead, you find a literal pharmacy.
Oh, wow.
Steroids, sexual enhancement drugs, and just bags of marijuana.
So definitely not a casual stash.
No, not at all. Quantities that suggest a completely separate, heavily curated reality.
Yeah.
You close the trunk, and suddenly the person you've shared a bed with for 9 years, the person whose name is on your marriage license, vanishes.
Right.
And in their place is a complete stranger.
It is a profound neurological shock. Your brain, it actually struggles to map the person who just bought groceries with you yesterday onto the person hoarding sex drugs in the garage.
It really messes with your head.
It does.
Yeah.
We often talk about infidelity or addiction as events, but finding a physical cache of secrets like that isn't just an event.
Yeah.
It is the sudden realization that your environment, like the very foundation of your daily life, is fundamentally unpredictable and unsafe.
And that is the exact tension we are exploring in today's deep dive.
Yeah.
We are unpacking a highly specific, chilling case study of covert financial abuse and relational gaslighting.
It's a heavy one today.
It really is. Our source material is a raw, anonymous blog post from a woman who is practically screaming into the internet void, trying to decode the nightmare her marriage has become.
Right.
So we are going to adopt her perspective, the perspective of someone desperately seeking clarity on their own reality, validating her confusion.
It's just so important.
Yes, and systematically dismantling the architecture of the deception she is facing. Because what this author describes isn't a string of bad luck.
No, absolutely not.
It is a structured, intentional trap.
Which means we need to look past the surface-level symptoms she describes and dig into the actual mechanics of the manipulation.
Right, how it actually works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need to explain how the traps are set, why they work so effectively, and how someone can begin the monumental task of untangling their finances and their psychology from a deceptive partner.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with a seemingly simple question.
Okay.
Why is she posting this on an anonymous internet forum?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Because she opens her post by stating she feels she cannot tell anyone she knows because when she has tried, it makes her feel worse.
Right.
She specifically says she wants an outside perspective.
When I read that, the sociological concept of the shame silencer immediately comes to mind.
Oh, the shame silencer.
Yeah. Feeling isolated from family and friends isn't just a byproduct of a bad relationship. I mean, it is a prerequisite for financial and emotional abuse to thrive.
Wow. Okay, explain that.
Well, if you are constantly checking your reality with a healthy support system, the abuser's gaslighting cannot take root.
Right, because your friends would tell you not crazy.
Exactly. The shame she feels acts as an invisible wall. It prevents her from exposing the gap between the smiling couple they pretend to be in public and the nightmare she is managing in private.
I hear that, but I have to push back slightly on the idea that it's purely about shame, though.
Okay.
Is it possible that she's just dealing with, like, massive logistical fatigue?
That's a fair point.
I mean, when you are trapped in a complex web of financial enmeshment and emotional manipulation, explaining that to a sister or a friend requires so much cognitive load.
Oh, completely.
You have to give 9 years of backstory just to explain why a $50 charge at a dispensary is actually a massive betrayal.
That is a phenomenal distinction to make.
Right.
It is absolutely about cognitive load.
Right.
When she says talking to people makes her feel worse, we have to consider the typical responses from people who haven't experienced systemic covert abuse.
They usually don't get it.
Right. Friends and family often offer binary, simple solutions. They say things like, well, just leave him or just separate the bank accounts.
Which feels completely invalidating. It makes the victim feel like they are failing at something obvious, when in reality, they're trying to dismantle a bomb with no training.
Precisely the opposite of a simple situation. And that leads to a profound sense of isolation.
Yeah.
The internet becomes a refuge because it offers anonymity. She doesn't have to manage a stranger's disappointment in her for staying.
She can just lay out the data.
Exactly. If you are listening to this and you find yourself keeping your partner's secrets because the sheer exhaustion of explaining the truth is too high, that is your first critical warning sign.
That's so true.
The isolation is doing the heavy lifting for the deception.
And the timeline she provides adds a really disturbing layer to that isolation.
It really does.
She notes they have been together for almost 9 years, but they've only been married for a year and a half.
Right.
So 9 years of dating or cohabitating. But the severe escalation she describes seems to happen specifically after the marriage becomes official. This feels like the incubation period of a virus or something. Like, why wait 9 years to drop the mask?
Well, we see this pattern frequently in deep-seated relational deception. A toxic partner will often use an extended courtship to basically map their partner's vulnerabilities.
Oh, wow.
They test their threshold for forgiveness, and they measure their financial responsibility.
So they're studying them.
Exactly. They are waiting until the structural ties are incredibly difficult to sever. A marriage license, shared assets, intertwined social circles.
All the legal stuff.
Right. All of that raises the cost of leaving exponentially. It goes from packing a bag on a Saturday afternoon to hiring legal counsel and dividing a decade of accumulated life.
Yeah, that's completely different.
Once that perimeter is secured, the behavioral brakes come off.
It's a calculated transition from a relationship to a hostage situation.
That's a great way to put it.
And even before we get to the financial ruin or the drugs, she paints a picture of profound emotional starvation.
She does.
She describes watching him spend all his non-working hours on incredibly insular hobbies, like playing video games, playing football with his friends, hanging out at a motorcycle club.
Right.
She literally says, I also began to feel unappreciated and lonely.
Notice the nature of those activities, too.
Yeah.
They are entirely self-gratifying and actively exclude her. There's no shared creation, no mutual foundation being built.
It's like being a single person trapped in a two-person house.
Exactly. When a partner consistently chooses hobbies that physically and emotionally remove them from the shared domestic space, they're establishing a dynamic where their presence in the relationship is merely a convenience.
Yeah, just dropping in when they feel like it.
They treat the shared home as a hotel, and the partner as the concierge.
And she adds this tiny heartbreaking detail. She says the little bit of time she did get to spend with him, they would just end up drinking and going out to eat.
Which perfectly foreshadows the core conflict of the entire post.
Oh, how so?
Well, the only time he incorporates her into his reality is when she can serve as an accessory to consumption.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's entirely transactional. He isn't connecting with her through deep conversation, shared goals, or vulnerability.
Right. No real intimacy.
Right. He is connecting with her only when she is riding shotgun on his dopamine hits, eating, drinking, consuming.
It's so sad.
It establishes early on that his priority is immediate gratification, and her role is simply to facilitate or witness it.
And that dynamic of consumption sets the stage for the real catalyst in this story. She mentions that when marijuana became legalized in their area, it was initially something they tried together. It was fun.
Right.
But then it morphed into a daily obsession for him.
Yeah.
And she writes this sentence that feels like the key to the whole psychological profile.
Oh, I know the one.
She says, it seems like everything he does, he ends up excessive with.
Yeah. What's fascinating here is that sentence is the diagnostic core of the entire case study.
It really is.
Everything he does, he ends up excessive with. We're moving past a simple substance use issue here. The substance itself, the marijuana, is just the current vehicle.
Right. It could be anything.
Exactly. What she is describing is a fundamental dysregulation of dopamine and a complete absence of internal boundaries.
So he just can't stop himself.
Well, in personality types that exhibit covert narcissism, excess is often used as an aggressive assertion of autonomy.
Oh, that's interesting.
It is a way of saying the rules of moderation, and by extension, the obligations of this marriage, do not apply to me.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure.
When we talk about this as an aggressive assertion of autonomy or a calculated trap, aren't we assuming a level of premeditation that might not actually be there?
How do you mean?
Like, is it possible he's just a severe addict whose life is spiraling completely out of control and she's just caught in the blast radius?
It is a crucial distinction to wrestle with, I admit. But the evidence of premeditation lies in how he firewalls the consequences of his excess.
Firewalls it.
Yeah. An addict in a true spiral typically destroys their own life alongside their partners.
Right. They go down together.
Right. They max out their own credit, they lose their own job. But as we'll see as we analyze her financial reality, this husband meticulously protects his own resources.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
He protects his legal standing while systematically destroying hers. That requires executive function. It requires planning.
So he knows exactly what he's doing.
He is weaponizing his addiction, using it as a shield to behave selfishly while ensuring she bears the entire structural cost of his behavior.
That is so insidious. And that brings us right back to the trunk of the car.
Mm-hmm.
The physical manifestation of this parallel life. The steroids, the sexual enhancement drugs, the massive quantities of hidden weed.
Right.
When you break down that specific cocktail of items, it paints a very specific picture of where his energy is going.
It really does. It points to an entirely separate, secret life and an obsession with self-gratification that completely excludes his wife.
So the steroids, what does that say to you?
Well, steroids are about projecting power and a specific aesthetic to the outside world. It's about physical dominance and curated vanity.
Yeah.
And then finding hidden sexual enhancement drugs in a vehicle away from the shared home, that strongly implies his sexual energy is being directed outward.
Right. Not towards his marriage.
He is actively curating a secret identity. He is an actor playing a husband while the actual person lives out of the trunk of that car.
God, and if you are the partner who uncovers that, the psychological toll is just devastating.
Oh, absolutely.
It induces a state of relational trauma. You are suddenly forced to reevaluate every conversation, every late night at work, every weekend trip with the guys.
It triggers intense cognitive dissonance. The brain is trying to hold two contradictory realities at once.
Which is exhausting.
It is. You have the husband who helps fold the laundry and the man hoarding sex drugs in the garage.
Right.
Managing that cognitive load takes immense neurological energy, which is why victims in these situations often describe feeling a bone-deep, paralyzing exhaustion.
Like they can't even think straight.
Your brain is running a background program 24/7 trying to figure out which version of reality is true.
Well, the reality becomes undeniable when we look at the financial architecture of this marriage. This is where the deep dive moves from emotional neglect into active, structured abuse.
Yeah, the financial aspect is huge here.
Because a parallel life requires parallel funding, and he is funding his secret life through her financial destruction.
That's exactly what's happening.
She writes that they purchased a house last year, but, and I'm quoting the blog post here, "We had to do it entirely in my name because his credit is ruined from a supposed fraudulent loan that is beyond collections, and in the legal system, he still has not resolved."
Right, the fraudulent loan.
Okay, given what we know about his lying, what are the odds this loan was actually fraudulent?
Honestly, extremely low. The fraudulent loan is a masterpiece of manipulation.
Explain that.
Think about how this functions mechanically. By claiming to be the victim of a mysterious, unresolvable financial crime, he accomplishes two vital goals.
Okay. First, he garners sympathy. He isn't irresponsible. He's a victim of identity theft.
Right, poor him.
Second, it provides an airtight, seemingly logical excuse to legally distance himself from shared marital risk.
Putting the entire burden on her.
Exactly. It's a classic manipulation tactic.
It's basically a corporate shell game.
Yes.
He has turned himself into a bankrupt subsidiary. He takes on all the high-risk, selfish behaviors, while the parent company, his wife, holding the mortgage and the credit lines, absorbs 100% of the legal and financial liability.
That analogy is spot on. She gets the house, but she gets the debt.
It's just sickening.
He has engineered a structure where she acts as his human shield against the consequences of his own life. This is the hallmark of financial abuse.
It isn't just about stealing money.
No, it is about manipulating liability. He ensures that if the entire structure collapses, her credit is ruined, her name is on the foreclosure, and he can theoretically walk away clean.
And the weight of that liability is just crushing her.
Oh, completely. She details the sheer volume of responsibilities she is carrying alone. The house needed extensive ongoing repairs they didn't know about. She is taking out personal loans.
Right.
She is maxing out her own credit cards to cover materials and contractors. And on top of the structural issues, she is paying the massive vet bills for their aging and terminally ill dogs.
The emotional manipulation embedded in that specific detail is just staggering.
The dogs?
Yes. Caring for terminally ill pets is devastating. Emotionally draining work that requires deep empathy.
It really is.
She is pouring her heart and her finite financial resources into keeping these animals comfortable and keeping a roof over their heads.
While he's buying weed and sex drugs.
Exactly. Abusers consistently weaponize their partner's empathy and responsibility. He knows she cares about the dogs. He knows she cares about her credit score.
So he uses that against her.
He can safely ignore the leaking roof and the vet bills because he knows her sense of duty will force her to cover the gap.
She literally says she has to move almost her entire paycheck into their joint accounts just to maintain on-time payments.
Right.
She writes, I end up not having any cash left over, and when I need anything, like typical things you would need, or just want to go out to eat with a friend, I have to use my credit card, so I am not making any progress.
So what does this all mean? It means she's functionally acting as his property manager, maid, and bank, while he operates without consequence.
He is financially starving her.
Financial starvation is a highly effective control mechanism. If she has zero liquid cash, she has zero agency.
Right.
She can't impulsively decide to leave and stay at a hotel for the weekend to clear her head. She can't hire a divorce attorney on retainer.
She's just trapped.
She is trapped in a cycle of bare minimum survival, funneling all her energy into maintaining the baseline of the household, while he operates with total financial impunity.
Which brings us to the moment that the paper trail finally catches up to him.
Yeah, the bank statements.
Because the financial strain she is enduring makes the eventual discovery of his actual spending habits not just hurtful, but practically devastating.
Mm-hmm.
She notes, last year I opened one of his bank statements thinking it was mine.
It is always the accidental discovery, isn't it?
Always. It's never a tearful confession. It's a piece of misdelivered mail, an open laptop, a receipt left in a jacket pocket.
Because deception requires perfect execution 100% of the time, which is impossible to maintain.
Yeah.
The paper trail is the ultimate antidote to gaslighting because numbers don't lie.
And the numbers she finds are staggering.
Right, the $10,000 secret.
Exactly. At first, she's just confused by the sheer volume of charges. But then she looks closer and discovers what we can only call phantom overtime.
Phantom overtime.
Yeah. She sees charges at bars and restaurants she has never been to. Specifically, on the days and weekends he explicitly claimed he was working overtime.
The visceral sting of that is just, phantom overtime is a dual-layered betrayal.
Yeah.
On one level, he is stealing time from the relationship, leaving her alone with the dying dogs and the house repairs.
Yeah.
On a deeper level, he is using the culturally bulletproof excuse of providing for the family to cover his tracks.
Oh, that's so manipulative.
He uses the language of responsibility, saying I'm working hard for us, to mask extreme selfishness.
And it gets worse. She finds the dispensary drain. Almost $1,000 in charges at dispensaries and what she calls other high unidentifiable transactions.
Right.
This instantly connects the dots back to the trunk of the car. The parallel life isn't just a theory anymore. She has the receipts proving he is funding it while she goes into personal debt to fix their shared home. But there's one sentence in her post that elevates this from bad behavior to calculated financial violence. She says, he makes substantially more than me.
Yeah. That is the linchpin of the entire abusive structure.
It makes my blood boil.
Right. This is not a story about a couple struggling to make ends meet where one partner has a spending problem.
Yeah.
He isn't broke.
Yeah.
He possesses superior wealth, and he is actively hoarding it to fund his addictions and his secret social life.
It's disgusting.
He is strategically letting her drown in the structural debt of their shared life while sitting on a surplus. This is the core of the hidden debt burden.
I really want to sit with the cruelty of that.
Yeah.
He watches her move her entire paycheck to cover the mortgage. He watches her put dog food and veterinary medication on a maxed out credit card with massive interest rates.
Exactly.
He watches her panic about contractor bills, knowing full well he has thousands of dollars sitting in a personal account that he plans to blow at a bar that weekend.
It is an intentional infliction of stress and deprivation.
It is.
When we talk about how to analyze the signs of financial abuse, this is the blaring siren. The hidden debt burden isn't an accident.
It's deliberate.
By forcing her to absorb the cost of living while he hoards his superior income, he is methodically dismantling her ability to ever leave him. If you are listening to this and you realize your partner makes significantly more money than you, but you are the one carrying all the high-interest debt just to keep the lights on.
You are not in a partnership.
Exactly. You are being economically exploited.
So what happens when the victim finally has the data to prove the exploitation? She has the bank statements.
Yeah.
She has found upwards of $10,000 in non-essential withdrawals over a period of months.
Right.
She has found the drugs. She finally has the empirical evidence to prove she isn't crazy.
Huh?
She confronts him. And what follows is an absolute masterclass in the deflection playbook.
It really is.
Now that the evidence is out in the open, we have to analyze how the husband responds to being caught.
Okay.
The mechanics of his manipulation.
Right.
Because she notes that over the years she has tried every approach. the calm approach, the angry approach, and even couples therapy. Why does therapy fail so spectacularly in a situation like this?
This is critical for anyone trying to navigate an abusive dynamic. Couples therapy operates on the fundamental assumption of mutual good faith.
Right, that both people want to fix things.
It assumes both partners acknowledge there is a shared problem and want to solve it. But a highly deceptive, manipulative partner does not view the relationship as the problem.
What do they view as the problem?
They view your awareness of their actions as the problem.
So they don't go to therapy to fix the marriage, they go to therapy to fix you catching them.
Exactly. They weaponize the therapy space. They use the sessions to gather intelligence on your emotional triggers.
Oh, that's dark.
They charm the therapist, presenting themselves as the calm, reasonable partner while you look frantic and exhausted from years of gaslighting.
Making you look like the crazy one.
Right. They pivot the conversation away from their hidden bank accounts and focus entirely on how your anxiety or your tone makes them feel unsafe.
So unfair.
They use the clinical language of therapy to further gaslight you, creating more secrets and deflecting all accountability. Therapy with a covert abuser often just makes them a more sophisticated manipulator.
And we see that exact deflection tactic when she finally confronts him directly about the $10,000 and the drugs.
We do.
She explicitly says she approached him calmly, but his reaction, she writes, "The response I got was deflection on me for irrelevant things and threats that he would leave and we should just get a divorce."
It's incredible.
It's like a squid inking the water to escape a predator.
I love that analogy.
Right. You ask a direct, data-backed question about a $1,000 dispensary charge, and suddenly the water is completely black with ink about how you didn't empty the dishwasher 3 weeks ago.
Or how your tone is disrespectful.
Exactly, or how he's just going to pack his bags.
The goal of that deflection isn't to win an argument or prove a point. The goal is to create so much emotional and cognitive chaos that you completely lose sight of the original facts.
It's blinding you to the betrayal.
And when he immediately jumps to the nuclear compliance tactic threatening divorce, he is engaging in profound emotional manipulation.
He's basically holding their relationship hostage.
He is saying, if you attempt to hold me accountable for reality, I will destroy your life. He relies on the assumption that her fear of abandonment is stronger than her desire for the truth.
But in this case, the truth is out, and the relationship does fracture. She actually leaves.
Right.
She packs up the dogs and refuses to come back. But then, and this is so common, the cycle resets.
Yeah.
She says, "We fed the false promises and lies that he would go to therapy," all that jazz. Let's break down that physiology. Why do we go back when we know they're lying?
Well, let's look at the physiological reality of trauma bonding. It is not just a bad habit. It is a profound addiction to the cortisol dopamine loop.
Cortisol and dopamine. Okay.
When he threatens to leave, her cortisol, her stress hormone, spikes massively. She is in a state of panic.
Right.
When she actually leaves, he experiences a sudden, terrifying loss of control, so he love bombs her. He makes all the right promises. He mirrors exactly what she has been begging for.
Saying he'll change, go to therapy.
Exactly. And when he does that, her brain gets a massive rush of dopamine, a profound sense of relief. Over 9 years, her nervous system becomes literally addicted to the chemical relief that only he can provide, even though he is the one causing the stress in the first place.
It's an emotional protection racket.
Yep.
He creates the danger, then sells her the safety.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
And of course, once she goes back, the mask slips again. She tries to believe in him. She avoids looking at the statements for months. And then this week, she opens one. And she finds it all over again. Thousands and thousands of dollars wasted on eating out, alcohol, weed, and God knows what else.
Yeah.
But the detail that follows, I honestly had to put the source text down and walk away for a minute.
The Valentine's Day dinner?
The Valentine's Day dinner. They have a delayed dinner planned. Remember, he is secretly spending thousands of dollars of his superior income on himself at bars and dispensaries.
Right.
But how is he paying for this romantic dinner with the wife he is financially bankrupting? With a re-gifted Christmas gift card.
It is the ultimate expression of contempt.
It's just so insulting.
It reveals precisely, mathematically, how he values her. She is not worth the expenditure of his actual resources.
No.
His money is exclusively for his pleasure and his secret life. The re-gifted card is just a cheap prop used to maintain the illusion of a relationship at absolute zero cost to himself.
And notice his reaction when she rightfully cancels the dinner. She confronts him with the new bank statements, the proof of his continued betrayal.
Yeah.
And she says, I was immediately met with complete dismissal and not even acknowledging anything. He threatens to move his items out that weekend.
Again with the threats.
And then she drops this devastating sentence. She says, I could not even get a word in. He just kept talking over me, blaming me for how he feels.
This is a textbook execution of Darvo.
Darvo.
Deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender.
Right.
She presents concrete proof of his financial theft and lies. He denies the validity of her concern by dismissing it, attacks her for bringing it up, and reverses the role so that he is the victim of her lack of understanding.
So twisted.
By talking over her, he physically dominates the auditory space, so she literally cannot speak her truth into existence.
Wow.
He forces the victim, who is standing in the smoldering wreckage of her financial life, to center his emotional discomfort.
Unbelievable.
He is essentially demanding that she comfort him because she caught him. This is peak emotional manipulation.
Which brings us to the final phase of this deep dive. The author is standing in the wreckage, but the squid ink is finally starting to clear.
Yeah.
Amidst all the yelling and deflection, she manages a declaration of absolute truth. She tells him directly that his priorities are completely skewed. She says, you put yourself, your addictions, and whatever else it is you hide before me in this relationship.
That is a watershed moment of agency.
Yes.
She is finally cutting through nearly a decade of gaslighting and naming the objective reality. She is stating the facts of the case out loud. He has chosen his parallel life over the marriage, period.
But the exhaustion is so palpable. After making this declaration, she turns to the internet and asks these agonizing questions.
Right.
She says, am I wrong for any part in this? There has been so much more that has occurred, but I don't have enough time or brain power to type it all. Am I crazy, or is this absolutely absurd?
I want to speak directly to the listener right now.
Please do.
And by extension, to anyone who has ever felt this specific brand of exhaustion. Feeling crazy, feeling like you literally lack the neural capacity to even type out the history of the abuse, is not a personal failure.
No, not at all.
It is the exact intended outcome of persistent relational gaslighting. You are not crazy. The situation is objectively absurd.
Yes.
The emotional exhaustion you are feeling is the physiological fatigue of a nervous system that has been fighting a covert psychological war for years. Your brain is depleted from managing the cognitive load of his lies.
That validation is vital. I mean, the emotional exhaustion of dealing with a deceptive partner is profoundly real. But here's where it gets really interesting. Despite the exhaustion, despite asking if she's crazy, she has this ultimate realization about his threats.
Oh, this is the best part.
She says, I'm not even afraid if he leaves. I feel like I have been on my own for so long anyway.
That is the moment the spell breaks.
It really is.
For years, his ultimate weapon, his nuclear compliance tactic, was the threat of abandonment. I'll just leave. Let's get a divorce.
Right.
He used her fear of being alone to enforce her silence. But what he failed to calculate is that by constantly neglecting her, by leaving her alone to manage the dying dogs, the broken house, and the maxed-out credit cards.
He accidentally inoculated her against that fear.
Exactly.
He literally trained her to survive without him. He was so emotionally and physically absent that the threat of his physical absence is no longer a punishment.
No, not at all.
It's just a logistical relief. It's one less person generating chaos.
Precisely. His neglect built her resilience.
Yeah.
She has already grieved the loss of the partner she thought she had. She is already managing the household alone. The only thing his actual departure would change is that the financial hemorrhaging would finally stop.
And yet, despite that incredible moment of clarity, she ends the post with this final lingering question.
Right.
And then I look at myself and think, what is wrong with me? Why am I still with him? If she knows she can survive without him, why is the physical act of leaving so hard?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the answer is that leaving is not merely an emotional decision. It is a monumental logistical undertaking.
Yeah, that's so true.
When she asks, why am I still with him? The answer is, because he intentionally designed a financial and structural cage that makes leaving feel impossible.
He trapped her.
Staying is not about witness. It is about the systematic erosion of self-worth and the paralyzing complexity of untangling the joint financial traps he intentionally set.
Let's talk about untangling those traps.
Okay.
Because if we are adopting the perspective of someone seeking clarity, we need to outline immediate steps for protecting personal assets and financial safety.
Yeah.
How do you even begin to untangle joint financial responsibilities and individual debt when your name is the only one on the mortgage?
The very first step is entirely internal. You must stop waiting to the abuser to validate your reality.
Because they never will?
You will never confess because the deception benefits him. You have to be your own witness.
Right.
Once you accept that, the second step is purely logistical and must be done in absolute secrecy. Secure your financial safety.
How does someone do that?
Open a new bank account in your name only at a completely different banking institution than the ones you currently use.
So he can't access it.
Do not tell him about it. Ensure all electronic correspondence for this account goes to a new secure email address he does not know exists.
Smart.
Begin funneling whatever small amount of liquid cash you can into that account. This is your escape fund.
But what about the massive structural debt? The house in her name, the maxed out credit cards she used to fix it. How do you untangle personal credit from his harmful habits?
You need to consult a family law attorney immediately, and specifically one who understands the nuances of financial abuse and hidden debt.
So don't just use any lawyer.
Right. Do not try to negotiate the division of assets with an abuser on your own. You need a legal professional to help you untangle the liability of the house that is solely in your name.
Is that even possible?
There are legal mechanisms to compel the sale of the asset or force the division of marital debt, even if the debt is in one name, provided you can prove the funds were used for joint marital expenses or that marital funds were diverted for his sole benefit.
Which is why the paper trail is so important.
Exactly. You need to organize your financial records meticulously after discovering the hidden debt and betrayal.
Yes.
Document everything. Print those bank statements showing his thousands of dollars in hidden spending at dispensaries and bars. Photograph the drugs in the car.
Keep all of it.
Gather the receipts for the house repairs and the vet bills. Keep all this physical evidence in a secure location outside the home, maybe with a trusted friend, or in a safety deposit box.
Building a case?
You are building an empirical case for your own freedom. Because when the time comes to separate, his deflection tactics won't work on a judge looking at a spreadsheet.
Untangling the credit is one thing, but how do you untangle your identity?
That's the harder part.
We talked about how this persistent gaslighting and isolation completely strips away your self-worth. When someone tells you every day through their actions that you are only worth a re-gifted Christmas card, a part of you internalizes that.
You do.
How do you rebuild after leaving a toxic, manipulative relationship like this? What's the gentle guidance for overcoming that trauma?
You have to start by actively breaking the silence that allowed the abuse to thrive.
Reach out.
Find a licensed therapist who specializes in trauma, narcissistic abuse recovery, and financial enmeshment, not a couples counselor.
Right, because we know how that goes.
Reconnect with the friends or family you distanced yourself from. Identify ways to build a supportive circle. You'll be surprised by how many people are just waiting for you to reach out, ready to offer support without judgment.
It's about replacing that isolation with connection.
Yes, and on a daily basis, you have to practice small, intentional acts of agency to regain your confidence.
Like what?
Well, gaslighting destroys your trust in your own decision-making. So you start small. Make a decision that is solely for you. Provide daily affirmations for yourself.
Affirmations.
Say things like, my reality is valid, my exhaustion is justified, I am capable of managing my own life.
I love that.
You should also rediscover personal interests lost during the abusive marriage. If you used to love painting, buy a canvas. If you used to hike before you were saddled with house repairs and his neglect, go for a walk.
Reclaiming your time.
You have to slowly remember who you were before he convinced you that your only purpose was to absorb his collateral damage.
Acknowledging the reality of what happened, no matter how financially messy or emotionally devastating it is the mandatory first step toward rediscovering personal agency and self-respect.
It absolutely is.
It is the only way out of the fog.
It is a dark, arduous journey, but the simple act of naming these behaviors, identifying the phantom over time as theft, identifying the fraudulent loan as a corporate shell game, identifying the deflection as Darvo is profoundly powerful.
It gives you your power back.
It takes the power away from the abuser's shadow and brings it into the light of objective reality.
We have covered a massive amount of ground in this deep dive today.
We really have.
We started with a woman reaching out to the internet, trapped behind an invisible wall of shame and isolation. We unpacked the chilling reality of a partner living a heavily curated parallel life funded by hidden addictions. We examined the precise architecture of financial abuse,
Right.
how he used a fabricated legal excuse to firewall his liability while hoarding his wealth and forcing her to drown in the structural debt of a house and sick pets.
It's a lot to take in.
We watched the mechanics of gaslighting in real time, the squid ink of deflection, the aggressive Darvo tactics, and the ultimate contempt of the re-gifted Valentine's Day dinner. And finally, we saw that vital spark of clarity, the realization that his threats of abandonment are empty because his profound neglect has already taught her how to survive on her own.
And we laid out the concrete steps to turn that survival into actual freedom.
Yes, securing the new accounts, organizing the paper trail, consulting legal counsel, and breaking the silence to rebuild identity.
It's all about rediscovering that agency.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with one final thought to mull over.
Okay.
We talked about how this partner constantly used the threat of leaving, the threat of divorce, the exact moment he was asked to be accountable for his own actions.
Right.
When a partner constantly threatens to leave the moment they are asked to be accountable, what they are really telling you is that their presence in your life is entirely conditional on your silence.
Wow.
If your silence is the price of admission for the relationship, what exactly are you paying for?
That's a powerful question.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep asking hard questions, keep trusting your gut, and we will see you next time.